Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
Tori in Colorado, who goes to a Catholic school and has an assignment to analyze a quote. So let's see if we can help Tori out.
I'm excited about this. Let's do this.
Hi.
Hi.
So I have this assignment for my apologetics class to analyze a quote from Penn Jillette. And pretty much the question is, there's a confusion between whether morality necessarily preludes a reward. In the view of obedience to the conscience and moral law, this is the final cause of man. How does this assist us in answering Mr. Gillette? And the quote is, only atheists have morals. The religious have reward and punishment. That's not morality. That's sucking up. And I was just wondering, if you do agree with the quote, how would you defend it?
Hold on. I'm Googling it so I can read it. But go ahead.
I'll say quickly that I don't fully agree with the quote, but I haven't talked to Penn about this specific quote. I think if I listen charitably, I basically would agree with Penn, because what we have from most religions is the sort of carrot and stick thing. And the example that I've used before is if you go out to dinner and you have two kids that you brought with you and they're being disruptive, and you tell one of them that if they're good, they're going to get dessert. And if they're bad, then they're going to get a spanking. Well, if you say that, you're already terrible, because we shouldn't be hitting people, especially little people. But in any case, you've got one of them that you've now given a carrot and stick to, essentially. And if you take the other one and you sit that one down and say, look, imagine you were sitting at a table and trying to have a conversation and eat a meal, and someone like you was running around being a disturbance in there. How would you feel? When you take those kids back to the restaurant, they're both going to behave. But which one is going to behave even when mom and dad aren't there? And that, to me, is kind of like what Penn's talking about, that yes, you can motivate people to do good with threats. You can motivate people to do good with rewards. But you can also motivate people to do good with empathy by pointing out doing good for its own sake. And I think, to whatever extent Penn was, and I don't want to speak for Penn, but I think that's basically what he was reaching for. And in that sense, I do agree, but I wouldn't want to make a blanket statement like, no religious people have morals. That's not true. If that's the way the quote is being spun, I definitely disagree with that. It's just, I don't think that they have a superior moral foundation. I think it's actually inferior.
Yeah. I'll add to this stuff from psychology. I agree. I totally agree with everything Matt said about that reading of what Penn probably was trying to say. Also, from the world of psychology and neuroscience, morals are things brains do, right? Like, they don't come from anywhere. They come from brains doing things, talking to other brains. Like, what I'm saying is, like, they don't come from God, so they don't come from books. Like, they come from conversations with other human beings, because the purpose of morals are to engage in group cohesion for the sake of goal-oriented tasks that can be achieved at the group level. So there's a nature-nurture thing that happens there. Most people have a setting that's a little bit more one way than the other. And when it comes to like innate morality, and then that gets shaped and that gets sharpened and flattened by the culture that you're born into, that has a different set of problems it's trying to solve, usually geographically, than somebody in another place geographically. So they develop moral frameworks that help them solve those problems. So usually what morals usually are problem solving mechanisms that apply at the group level. And so what I'm trying to say is, like, scientifically speaking, morals are not some sort of philosophical idea. They are a thing that happens inside brains. So when I hear any kind of discussion of morality like that, it's important to see that. Also, for your quote, I would recommend looking up the term moral dumbfounding. There's some good research that you can look at into what happens when you ask people. They'll ask people things like, your family dog is hit by a car, would it be okay to eat it? And then people will say, no. they'll ask them to eat it, and then they'll whatever they come up with, they very slowly disassemble that in a sort of Socratic way, and people eventually get to the point where like, I don't know why it's wrong, it just is. And they can do that for a whole variety of questions. And what they're revealing there is that the instinct or the innate response to say something is right or wrong comes from something outside of any received wisdom. It's something that's bubbling up from a place that you have no access to, and that's an indication that it's not something you're not reading off you're not looking into a book that said this is right or wrong and saying that's why, and that's to judge that's not what's determining your behavior. It's coming somewhere deep innate, and you're using the book to justify the thing that's innate, which is a principle that comes up over and over again. A lot of religious texts are just justifications for cultural norms or for innate behaviors that you're trying to find some justification for. So I would say morals. Last thing on that is I would say even for people who are religious, their morals don't come from the books. The books are justifications for a moral framework that existed outside of that book.
And this last little point, Tori, and then you can get back to asking questions or letting us know how it helped is, one interesting thing is that in much the same way that like a Baptist and a Catholic may not agree on everything, and two Catholics may not agree on everything, and two Baptists may not agree, it's entirely possible for two atheists not to agree on everything. There are certain things, I mean, David and I are largely in a line here, but I think there are some subtle things about our moral views that might be different. But sure. I hope we've at least been able to kind of answer your question about Penn's quote, because I've heard that quote from him. I've heard many quotes for him. So hopefully that was helpful.
It was. Thank you.
Good luck.
Anything else we can do, or you want to hang up on us? Oh, and you can call us back and let us know what you came up with and what grade you get, because that'd be cool.
If you get a gold star, please ask for 2, because I would like one.
Tori completely hung up on us. I love that.
That feels good.
I have no idea, by the way, anything about Tori as far as their religious beliefs or otherwise, because I know atheists who go to Catholic schools as teenagers. And it's funny that, here Tori is talking about her apologetics class and calling into a show with some godless heathens to find out what Penn might have been meaning. So I love that.
That's wild.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.